Good evening, everyone, and tonight's deck is the Templar Tarot, the Journey. This is a expanded deck. I did not actually buy this deck myself. This was given to me by a client who she didn't feel like it vibed with her, so she wanted me to have it. I didn't know a whole lot about this deck, and I could not find it for sale anywhere. So I don't really know much about it other than it's actually an expanded edition from the normal Templar Tarot you see that comes in the blue box. The interesting thing about this deck is that it is set up with two sets of Major Arcana. You have this one, and then you have this one, which gives you the option to either use all 100 cards or pick the Major Arcana that appeals to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a quick look at the book. You know that you're talking about a pretty in-depth tarot when you actually have when you're actually looking at a table of contents. Now this deck is done by Alan Chester and Stephen Dafoe. It's published by let's see if I can see here. It's published by Inspired by Design, Newport News, Virginia, copyright 2009. When I went to TemplarTarot.com, I could not find, the site was not up anymore. So if y'all have any information about this deck or insight, I'd love to hear it in the comments. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start flipping through the cards. Alright, so we're starting off with the first set of Major Arcana. And as you can see, the author has actually renamed the cards, and as I went through the book, it looks as though he set them up in groups of 3. Now, reading the book, he talks about the imagery coming through in meditative states through painting, and I think that's a really neat thing, and I think you can really see that within the artwork. The cardstock is really nice. It's nice and heavy. This deck is a bit larger. It looks about maybe 3.5 by 5, so if you have smaller hands, it might be a little bit more difficult for you to work with. It took me about half hour to 45 minutes to actually get this deck organized, because the young lady that had gifted it to me had actually kind of mixed up the cards, so I had a fun time trying to figure out where he was going, at least with this first Major Arcana. I like that card. It's pretty. Alright, and it looks like we are beginning the second set of Arcana cards, Major Arcana cards. Interestingly enough, the Fool, he or she looks very androgynous. My first impression that it was a female, but in closer inspection you can see that the artist really did kind of take the image and really did leave it as more a male female kind of vibe to it. Looks like this one is pretty standard. Interesting imagery and interpretation of each of the cards. One thing I did notice in flipping through this deck is even the cards that normally would be considered kind of light and positive have a heavier feel to them, at least to me. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that that is the kind of vibe that I'm getting from the cards. I absolutely love this Tower card. I think it's beautiful. There's some really good information contained within the book. I'm not going to sit there and go through it all because it would be kind of tedious. Alright, so that is the second set of the Major Arcana. So we're going to jump right into the minor, and we're going to be looking at wands first. Or in this case, staffs. I was kind of surprised, excuse me, I was kind of surprised when I looked at the publisher, because that's actually, Newport News is one of the 7 cities of Hampton Roads, which is where I'm from. So I found that kind of neat. Okay, now we're jumping into swords. I would actually really love to see his original work. I mean, the original paintings that these stemmed from. I'm, excuse me, this, been coughing a lot, so excuse me. And we are jumping into cups. And we're into pentacles. I'm actually really impressed. This isn't like something I normally would be drawn to, but I really do like this deck. And if I were to use it, I would probably use all 100 cards. It'd be interesting to see what kind of extended layout you could come up with by using all of these cards at one time. And so we're coming to the end. And there you have it. The Templar Tarot by Alan Chester. And I hope everyone has a great night.